Right, what's going on guys? Welcome to the first proper episode of my prep series. Obviously 27 weeks out, going in for legs today. Obviously currently in lockdown over here in the UK, so I can't show you exactly where I'm training. It's not my usual gym, of course, because it is closed. So we're going to go in for legs. I'm going to step you kind of through what I've been doing essentially during the lockdowns over here in the UK for my leg days. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to kind of speak in between sets. Half the time I can't do that because I'm absolutely dead. So I might end up doing like a voiceover of the session. But either way, let's jump into the leg day and I'll show you what I do. Right, here we are, leg day. So first of all, I'm gonna run you through the initial kind of like routine do prior to even starting legs. The first of which is waiting for Josh.
Get me in shot. Come on, Jay.
There you go.
Hi guys, welcome to today's YouTube video where we're gonna be training legs.
Training at your gym in Italy. You're not like a natural bodybuilder who lives in Rotherham, especially. He trains Ultraflex if you don't have Vibrams. It's like part of the kit. So leg day, we've got Vibrams. I'm not gonna record me like putting them on my feet in like slow motion and shit. I'll just put them on and then we'll get into it. Right, so I'm going to be doing a voiceover of this session. As you can see, lovely starting the session with my foot just rolling over a ball. Essentially, the first part of my session is always a good thorough warm-up. A lot of mobility work goes into it. A lot of like movement prep, so things like this. Where I'm basically preparing my body for the movements it's going to be going through in this session, making sure all the joints are nice and opened up, making sure the muscles are kind of, accustomed to the movements that they're going to be going through before I even start the session. So it'll be a lot of body weight stuff, a lot of kind of body weight mobility drills, body weight stuff, some of which I'm recording here, but even the upper body, I'll make sure that, I'm making sure that I'm opening up things like my shoulder joints, and making sure that I'm nice and flexible, nice and mobile before I actually go into the session. Massively reduce the chance of getting injured, and also make sure that when I do perform my exercises and my working sets, that they can be performed as efficiently and as accurately as possible. Essentially start off the session at the moment with calves. So just do one exercise, which is the standing calf raise. It's a bit of an awkward one, this, but it is really good. Bearing in mind that obviously we're quite limited in terms of like what we can do for calves. I'm just finding that doing a standing calf raise like this is probably the best option just for that one exercise. I'm essentially using my hands to grip on like a Smith machine, so I basically turn it into a Smith machine. I'm kind of gripping onto the rack without really, just taking a lot of the stability out of it without actually kind of like properly holding on. Next up, go into the hamstring curl. So standing hamstring curl, single leg. Again, like with the calf raises, I'll be doing a few warm-up sets, and then I'll go into 2 working sets, making sure everything's nice and slow and controlled. Likewise, with the first 2 exercises of the leg day, I've got the single leg hamstring curl, which you're seeing now. Again, this one, I'll do a few warm-up sets. It will vary week to week, depending on how, warm and stuff I'm feeling. But essentially it'll be usually like two or three kind of warm-up sets, and then 1 or 2 working sets. So again, everything you see, it's going to be slow, it's going to be controlled, it's going to try and be like as accurate as possible. I'll start off on this one, so these won't be working sets to begin with. They will be just kind of like higher rep warm-up sets where I'm looking to get as much blood flow as possible into the quads before I start squatting. I personally find this helps massively in terms of just like my performance with squats, also my ability to actually contract my legs like properly within the squat, and also because I've had a knee injury when I was younger from other sports like rugby. I find that if I go straight into squats without actually fully warming up and activating and getting blood flow into my legs, that I actually have issues with kind of like my knee. However, when I do this, for some reason, it's absolutely fine, and I can squat heavy. So going into these, obviously I'll explain this in a little bit more detail later, why I've got all the mat and stuff there, why I've got the knee sleeves on around my ankles. Essentially going into squats now. Again, like even though you'll see the weight that I'm squatting in the moment, I'll always start just with like the bar, maybe with like a band on. I am doing banded squats, which I will jump into now. I don't want to like overcomplicate things when it comes to like why I'm using bands, because it's not actually like complicated why they're being implemented here. It's just a case of I'm trying to put as much load on my quads as possible. This is very much a quad focused session. So essentially with your legs being straightened, with your body being standing up still, obviously you're in a stronger position, you can handle more load. So therefore, when we're in the top of the squat, essentially, especially if we're trying to maximize the kind of workload kind of being put on the quads, it makes more sense to kind of align the weight and the load that's on the bar with the strength that our body is capable of. So for example, in this movement, I'll put the numbers on the screen, but the weight is significantly heavier at the top of the movement due to the band tension, where our body is stronger, where our quads are, fully engaged and obviously taking that load as well. So you hear a lot of stuff about like movement profiles, strength curves. In reality, it's just a case that your body is stronger in the position where it is stood upright. If you were to have like weight on your shoulders, where would what position would you want to be in to kind of like maintain that for as long as possible? You're going to want to be standing up straight, not squatted down with your ass near the floor. So you'll find here, as I get lower, the weight decreases, and then as I get, as I contract everything, and as I start to stand up, the weight increases. I've got my heels slightly elevated just because my ankle mobility isn't great at the moment. It is something that I'm working on. My hips were also a little bit tight here. Like, bear in mind, at the moment, I'll dive into my training split in one of the next videos. But essentially, we are either squatting twice a week and deadlifting once a week, or deadlifting twice a week and squatting once a week. So there's a lot of stress going through the hips at the moment. So I'm just trying to catch up with my hip mobility. And if I miss like one mobility kind of session after I train, then my hips will get a little bit tight, like in this session. But the idea here is I'm not like a power lifter. I'm not trying to get as low as possible with my squat depth. The idea is to get to around about 90 degrees, and that is fine. That is all the kind of mobility that I need to get the most out of this movement. When it comes to like the correct amount of depth in a squat, you'll see a lot of people, like criticizing people for not going like ass to the floor. But in reality, like for most people, you cannot safely go ass to the floor in a squatting movement without it impacting your joint health, without it impacting other movements in the session. Like, the way that I look at my training is that I want to perform well throughout the entire session, throughout the entire week, continuously, week after week after week after week. I don't want to get to the next exercise, my knees to be hurting, or I don't want to get to like pull day, which is in like 2 days time, and find out that I can't actually deadlift because my hips are hurting or my knees hurting because of the fact that I tried to push the depth too much on the squat. So you almost need to like know your body well enough to know how low you can get in a squat, how much mobility you can kind of go through, if that makes sense, on movements like squats safely, and still perform well across other movements in the week. So these are my two top sets. I'll do various warm-ups, which will usually be between kind of like, they'll start off higher reps for the lighter weight on the bar, and then as I get closer and closer to my working sets, the reps will get less. And then for my working sets at the moment, the goal is between 5 to 9 reps. Obviously got Josh to spot me, so it's nice and safe. And the reason why we're going between like 5 and 9 reps on squats at the moment is just because it's the only movement within leg day that I can do safely and kind of load up nice and heavy. I also just love heavy squats. So again, like mobility here is probably the worst it's been in a while. To be fair, it just happened to be the one that I was recording. But not every session is not every session is going to be perfect, and I think it's always a case of doing what you can within the given circumstances. And yeah, so you'll see a lot of the time, like, not everything I do is perfect, but it's very, very consistent, and it consistently improves. On to next, so after the squats, going into leg extensions. So as you'll see here, I'll explain the little setup that we've got. So the mat is essentially to put our body in a better position, align our knee with the joint, align our knee joint with the kind of pivot point in the machine here. We've then got the band, which it basically makes it, again, it makes more tension at the top. So the machine's like fully stacked out at the moment. So it's just to kind of add a little bit more weight at the top end of the movement, and just in general, because there's not really much else we can do to make it heavier. And then obviously the Versa grips. So I've just basically got straps that are just helping myself stabilize, just locking me in position. And yeah, like essentially I'll do 2 sets of these as well. The first set at the moment is just a straight set, and then the second set is going to be a rest pause, which is absolutely savage. which I'll be showing you guys now. I just don't look happy going into this. I know what's about to come. But yeah, essentially a rest pause is where you will do like so many reps. You'll then take a slight pause or slight kind of like rest. So you might hear these called like a cluster set or whatever, but essentially it is where you do a few reps, you take a little bit of rest, you do a few more reps, you do a little bit of rest, a few more reps, and you do that. It's various ways of doing it, but essentially the way that I like to do it is I will, let's say, set a goal of like do 30 reps total, and then I will just generally go for it and trying to make sure I get that amount of rep range with whatever's on the stack. You'll see as well I will stand up, because if you're sat down, like it's too painful. Like you need to let some blood get out of the legs. So yeah, I'll take like little rests in between. Usually it'll be a case of just kind of getting my breath back, getting my heart rate down a little bit, because with these a lot of the time as well, we don't want to fail the set from like getting exhausted and fatiguing. We want to fail the set because the muscles are like incapable of performing another rep, which is exactly what you can achieve through these rest pause sets, like every single time, because you don't allow yourself to fatigue. As you'll see, like every rep, like ideally with these sort of, and with everything in general, like I want every rep to look the same. I want the first rep of this 30 rep or whatever it is rest pause set look the same as the last rep, and that's what everyone should kind of definitely take away from this with training. Trying to control the eccentric as much as possible. Obviously, you will find that as the kind of reps go on, like then they're naturally going to become a little bit more sloppy, kind of not sloppy, but it's going to be impossible to obtain like the exact same like execution on rep 1 to rep 30, but ideally the same principles should apply. You will see as well I take the band off this, so essentially when it comes to like strength curves and movement profiles and stuff like that, when it comes to like doing things like a leg extension, for example, like the shortened range, so when your quad is fully contracted, it will start to become weaker there first after a little while. So you'll find that you won't always be able to like fully contract your quad if you're doing it at the same weight. In this case, what I'm doing is taking the band off, so it's basically taking a little bit of weight off the top end when my quad's contracting. So it means I can continually perform exactly the same reps all the way through. I hope that makes sense. I'm not the best at speaking about all this sort of stuff in detail, but yeah, like the set will go on forever. I'm actually recording this on like Loom, so I can't chop and change it, but next time I'll speed it up, because this set does go on forever. But essentially, I hope this just gives you a bit of an example of like this is one single set, like what it can and almost should look like. Like this stuff should be hard. If you want to grow, you've got to put your body and your kind of like muscle stuff through like a lot of stimulation, a lot of pain, a lot of things that they haven't been through before. That is how you force an adaptation, is that you put your body through something that it's never been through before. So the goal every session is to essentially do that through exercises and through sets like this. Whether I do one more rep or do slightly slower eccentrics or do a little bit more weight, every session I put my like body through things it's never been through before, which is essentially going to cause it to adapt to that stimulus and grow as a result. So yeah, as you see in my face, it's not the most pleasant experience ever doing these rest pauses, and any of my coaching clients that have these in their program will fully understand the savagery of what they are. Just waddle off. So after that, after absolutely battering the quads in the leg session, we're going into the leg press. We have got this banded to the teeth. The reason, again, I think it's important to explain why I'm doing all this. The video cut off there, but yeah, it's not just to look cool. It is for a purpose. It is to make the session better. It is to make the most out of the given movement. So again, very, very similar to squats. You can see that obviously when your legs are fully extended like they are now, like whenever you were to start a leg press obviously you can load up a lot more weight at that position, and especially with this specific machine, it becomes very light when you pushed it up, if that makes sense. And then when you bring it back down to your body, so when the legs are obviously being flexed like now, obviously when it's at the bottom, it becomes extremely heavy very, very quick. So the idea of the bands is just to kind of align how the machine loads the weight up when it's going through the kind of movement to match that of the strength of your body, and that's essentially it. Like, the best thing to do, like, honestly, if you are someone who wants to learn about how to use bands, just start fucking using them, like stick them on machines, and just get a feel for like how they work and what they actually do to the machine is the best way to learn, rather than just trying to become like over sciencey about it all. Just get in there, stick them on a machine like a leg press, and just you'll see very, very quickly how they impact how a machine kind of works. So again, like, at the end of the day, when it comes to all this sort of training, the number one factor is just intensity. Like, you need to be able to like kind of just bring it to every set that you're doing, all the working sets. Just to give you a bit of a run through, because I realise I haven't actually spoke about it yet. I do like 2 working sets per exercise. It may be 3 or 1, it depends exercise to exercise, but generally speaking, I'll do 2 working sets per exercise. Those 2 working sets are the ones that count. They're the ones that I need to improve on. So these are the ones that I put 100% effort in. For example, the ones that you're seeing right now. You know, you may need to do 3, you may need to do 4. It depends on the amount of intensity that you can bring to those sets, whether you can actually go to failure or not. But the number one thing is just bringing intensity and learning to actually take your muscles to failure. You'll find that with a lot of people, when you first start out, it honestly depends on so many different things, but your mind is going to give in before your body does. So for a lot of people, you will drop the weight, you will, you know, rack the leg press and quit the set when your brain signals that it has had enough and that it thinks that your body should stop doing what it's doing. You need to be able to basically tell the smart side of your brain to fuck off and to continue doing the thing that you're doing, in this case leg press. So, you know, your brain does not want your body to go through the adaptation that it's going through. It does not want your body to go through doing something that it's never done before, because, you know, according to your brain, that's an extremely dangerous position to be in. But you need to force yourself to basically go through that. So you need to be able to kind of just like stick with it when your basically brain, your common sense, everything inside your head is telling you to stop doing it. And you just need to be able to kind of like just suck it up and just push on through. That's what you need to learn. That's what essentially will build you muscle. All the rest of it, the bands, all the like the Vibrams that I'm wearing, the knee sleeves, all that stuff, it's just extra stuff to like allow me to just do what I'm doing to a better kind of standard, a better degree. But it's not worth worrying about until you've kind of mastered the basics. Obviously the last exercise is going to be a split squat. Again, with the split squats, the way that we set things up with the plates just allows me personally, based on like my own kind of like structure and mechanics, to get like the best range of motion and best kind of execution of this given exercise. It's not the same for everyone. Like, everyone is built differently. All our like kind of limb lengths, so like, you know, you like your femurs and so on and so forth, are going to be different lengths to other people's. Your joints are going to work slightly differently. Your insertion points, your muscles are going to be slightly different. So everyone like will need to perform movements slightly differently in order to get the most from them. But that is a story for another day. Main takeaway though is just look at your training as an individual thing. Don't just copy what other people do. This is my current condition at 27 weeks out, 217 pounds at the moment, and you know, the equivalent to that is about 98 kilos or 98.5 kilos. So this is what things are currently looking like. Obviously, I'm holding a decent chunk of body fat. For me personally, I hold the most amount of body fat around my kind of like lower back and glutes region, probably. Although it is fairly well distributed. But yeah, for now, I do have body fat everywhere, because I am coming off the back of a 2.5 year off season. But you will see over the upcoming weeks, if all goes to plan, all this body fat will come off, and underneath there shall be some extra muscle that we built. But going through posing, like, you know, this isn't just to be like, I don't throw up kind of like pose and stuff in the off season to make people sick in their mouths or to just like show off or anything like that. It's literally just because I don't care. Like, I you know, I think you should feel comfortable in your own body, and you know I am, so I'll happily show people what I look like in a gaining phase or a prep. It doesn't really make any difference to me. Like, it's all part of the process. But practicing your posing is important. Like, when you're on stage, like if you'll be able to see who's practiced their pose and who hasn't. Right, I hope you guys enjoyed that leg day video. There's gonna be plenty more sessions to come. I'm gonna be going through like each individual session like I have with this one, so you will also see my pull session, push session, and arm session. I'll also be doing like a kind of full day on my rest day to show you what I kind of do on the rest day, which is quite important. And then the next video that I'll be recording will actually be a full day of eating on my training day. So eat my post-workout meal at the moment. I will be going through and recording a full day of eating, and that will be applicable regardless of whether you're looking to build muscle and obviously be in a surplus, or obviously prep, lose body fat, whatever you're trying to do in terms of your goal. The diet that I eat is extremely efficient at achieving those goals. It's the same one that I eat in my gaining phase and in my dieting phase. Like at the moment, I just tweak the calories and macros to obviously fit the goal at hand. So the next video will be a big one if you're looking to maximize your nutrition. This next video is going to be a big one. So obviously, if you want to watch that, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss it. Appreciate again anyone who just drops a like on the video, shares this on their Instagram, like just taking a picture, screenshot, whatever, sharing it on your Instagram story for other people that may, you know, benefit from watching it. At the end of the day, I'm literally just doing this for you guys. Like, you know, I don't want anything from this. It's literally just trying to provide a bit more value throughout my prep for people who want to learn a little bit more about kind of how to basically have a successful contest prep, which hopefully this will be. Any questions, feel free to drop in the comments. Shoot me a DM if you ever like want to chat or ever need any like kind of help with anything. My DMs are always open on Instagram. Aside from that, guys, see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.